What's up everyone? Welcome to my review for one of the most anticipated movies of the year, and of course that is The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, which of course is the beginning of Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy, and I was super excited to see it. So I went to go see the midnight screening, which I don't usually do, only for big ones, or a Paranormal Activity movie. I saw Batman, I think I saw Avengers. No, I don't think I did, but whatever. I saw Hobbit, midnight, 3 hours straight through. I sat there. I was like, oh, I'm ready. Did I love it, though? Critics have been very divided with this film. Some, I hear, love the hell out of the movie. Some really like it, thought it was really good. Some of them actually hate it. I'm like, okay, I don't think Peter Jackson will let me down. So, let's talk about what the story. The story for The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Chip follows Bilbo Baggins this time, not Frodo, Bilbo Baggins, who in the beginning of this film decides, you know what, I'm going to write to Frodo in this book and tell him about my adventures that I had 60 years ago, because I had huge adventures, probably bigger than Frodo, because I'm better. And he writes in his book, and right when he starts writing, it goes 60 years into the past, and it shows young Bilbo Baggins, played by Martin Freeman, just chilling out on his porch, just smoking a pipe, and then boom, Gandalf shows up, of course played by Ian McKellen once again, and says, Bilbo, we need you on an adventure. Come with us. We really want you on this adventure. And he's like, no. And then later on in the night, Gandalf comes back with a bunch of dwarves, and they just start having a feast in his house. Bilbo's like, what the hell's going on? I don't want them here. And a bunch of dwarves, you know, just eating, throwing up stuff, you know, just beating each other up and stuff, just having a good time. And Bilbo's like, what the hell's going on, Gandalf? Blah, 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 blah. And then out of nowhere, another person shows up, another dwarf, and his name is Thorin of Oakenshield, who is the main leader of this group. And Thorin pretty much lays down the plans of what's going to happen. We're going to go and take back our homeland of Erebor, which was taken by this dragon Smog. And we're going to go take that back. We're going to have to go across pretty much a huge vast of land just to go and get our land back. And that's really the plan. And of course, Bilbo's like, oh, hold on, I'm not going on this adventure. And of course, they're like, no, you have to come on an adventure. We need one more person, and Gandalf said you should come. And he's like, nope, not going. And then a day later, of course, he wakes up, everybody's gone. He decides, you know what? Screw it, and he goes on the adventure. So now Bilbo Baggins and 12 dwarfs, Thorin of Oakenshield and Gandalf are on an adventure, and on their adventure to go to Erebor and fight this Smog dragon. They fight a bunch of orcs, giants, they meet a bunch of people from old Lord of the Rings movies, and it's just a huge adventure. The greatest adventure! All of that story in one breath. Whew. The story here, I have to admit, straight up, is fantastic. I love it here because what they do is that they give you all these different characters, all these dwarves, and of course Bilbo, and they give you Gandalf, and they give you some supporting characters, and they actually give you enough development for just the first movie. They give you enough development to really care about each of these dwarves, and of course Bilbo and Gandalf and Thorin of Oakenshield. They give you enough for you to care. And when it gets into all the dialogue and all the little development here and all the funny gags, it really is very funny, very interesting, and not really all that boring. I mean, sometimes it drags a little bit, sure, but I mean, you would expect that. It's still very well done, and I love it when it gets to the action. The action is insane in this film, but I'll talk about that later on in the review. Now, also, I love the acting. Everybody that plays the dwarves, I can't name everybody off because there's so many of them, but everybody that plays the dwarves just do a fantastic job here. They could be very funny, they could be very sly, they could be very badass, which most of them are just badass, and I love all the dwarves. Whoever plays them, I love them all. And I especially love Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins. I think at first he's a little, you know, he's the gentle type of hobbit, you know, whatever, and then later on his character develops into, you know, a much more tougher character. But of course, that's just this movie. In the next two movies, I want to really see how he develops. I want to see how badass he is at the end of the third movie. So he's fantastic in here. I love him as Bilbo Baggins. Of course, Ian McKellen, who plays Gandalf once again, is fantastic here. I love Ian McKellen, and he's great as either a bad guy or a good guy. You know, bad guy, of course, I'm talking about Magneto, and good guy Gandalf. He's badass as Gandalf. I love him. I think his name is Richard Armitage, who plays Thorin of Oakenshield, and I think he's great in this as well. The thing is that a lot of his stuff is just him being pissed about stuff, which I was a little sad about. I think he was one of the least interesting characters to me, but later on he definitely becomes a little bit less angry at everything. I just didn't like that. He was always angry about stuff. And I mean, he had a right to be angry. It's just that he was always angry. So it wasn't like I could care for this character that much. But later on, he became a little bit mellow, and I actually really liked him in the film. Overall, everybody else did a fantastic job in acting, and the story here is just so much fun. All the people that are like, oh, Lord of the Rings, that's a nerdy series, and The Hobbit, it's probably going to be the same. Wrong. First of all, Lord of the Rings is a badass series, so suck it. And The Hobbit is the same thing, because this entire movie is filled to the brim with amazing action and absolutely groundbreaking special effects. This movie is beautiful all the way through. The action, there's a whole sequence at the end, it's like a 10-minute, maybe a little bit less, maybe 8 or 9-minute sequence, I don't know, where they're just running through this orc camp and just murdering orcs one by one with their swords and stuff, just running through, and it is one of the most amazing looking action scenes I've ever seen. It really is, because the camera's all the way pulled back and you see all these orcs running around getting murdered, you see all this environment, all these environments like these mountains and stuff, just like crumbling a little bit, and it just looks so amazing. It really is, and it's so badass watching all these guys just like murder everything. If you thought it was just a nerdy series where everybody just like sits around and is like, I got elf ears, like, no, that's not what it is. Shut up. So yeah, it's awesome. It really is. The action here is breathtaking, and the special effects are the same. I mean, they're groundbreaking. They really are. They're amazing here. All the creature designs, especially Golem in the film, or Gollum. I'm sorry, not Golem. Gollum in the film is amazing. Gollum is so well designed here, and Andy Serkis once again plays Gollum, and he does an amazing job here once again. And I love the special effects. I love the action. There's a whole scene where the special effects and the action really come into play perfectly, where these are, I'm not going to spoil it, it's like these rock giants. That's all I'm going to say. When you see the film, you know what I'm talking about. That's an amazing scene right there. And I love this film. I don't see what the critics are hating about it. It's very funny at times. It's very, it has a lot of character development, has great characters, great acting, great action, amazing special effects. Maybe they saw it in 48 frames per second and they're like, oh, this movie sucks. But you know what? Go see it in 24 frames like, you know, a normal person would, and watch it again and love it, because this is a fantastic film. It does get slow at parts, but it's a 3-hour movie, so you should expect that it might get slow in parts. But overall, I give this a 38 out of 40. Only 2 points off, only because it does get slow at times. It really does. But 38 out of 40, it's a great way to start off the Hobbit trilogy. I cannot wait until the next one, which is The Desolation of Smaug, I think. Can't wait to see what they do with Smaug. Hell yeah. Overall, there you go. There's my review. Definitely go check this film out. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. Love it. So The Hobbit, Unexpected Journey, go see it. I love it. So there you go. There's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.